what ignited the spark of you understanding how the artificial intelligence works and what made you jump into this market?
I did my undergrad from IIT Kanpur. I was basically deciding between biotech and AI. I always had curiosity about how humans learn, like the psychology behind it and so on. But I was a computer science student, so the closest I could find was a AI. Like
The robots also hallucinate while doing some stuff with their AI brains.
I think this is something which a lot of people ask me, like because they're worried about the hallucination. If robot is
Absolutely.
hallucinating, what will happen, right? In the case of robotics, it's not just one form of data that you're getting, not just language or vision, what you're seeing, but you also have the ability to do actions and see the effect of those actions.
Connecting different industries is always something that happens when one industry booms, right? The moment one technology takes a step forward, there's something bad associated with it. What one connected thing that you feel would also have a bad effect when the AI and robotics would move forward?
Even in our case, you could talk about energy as one issue because we are also learning these models and so on. Cultural shift that is going to happen. When robots are going to come, it's going to be a huge cultural shift.
He started with this simple frustration. Machines could see everything yet understand almost nothing. Our guest keeps returning to that gap between recognition and common sense. Images weren't enough. Data wasn't enough. Learning requires contact, dropping things, falling, letting the world push back. What looks like robotics is really a question about how intelligence forms at all, and why humans learn faster by touching than watching. Our guest, Abhinav Gupta, the co-founder and president of Skilled AI, and this conversation sits with an unfinished thought. What we teach machines may quietly reshape how we understand ourselves. So, hello sir, how are you, first of all, and how's your feeling at the Web Summit Qatar?
Yeah, thanks for inviting me first. Yeah, it's very exciting to be around here. There's a lot of energy and would love to. And I'm always excited to talk about what we are also doing. So, yeah, very exciting.
And I saw your multiple sessions of talking about what AI and specifically robotics can do, right? So the first thing I want you to know from you is what ignited the spark of you understanding how the artificial intelligence works and what made you jump into this market?
Yeah, okay. It's a very, very long story then. So, I did my undergrad from IIT Kanpur. And then in second year, I was like the sophomore year, I was basically deciding between biotech and AI.
Okay.
I always had curiosity about how humans learn, like the psychology behind it and so on. But I was a computer science student, so the closest I could find was a AI, like how does intelligence work and so on. So I started working in that in intelligence, specifically in computer vision actually. So my PhD is all in computer vision. In computer vision, what you have to do is they're given an image, you have to figure out what is the content inside that image.
Okay.
And so my PhD was in computer vision, and I basically had been working through for the first 7 years of my career as a fact professor at Carnegie Mellon, also in computer vision. And one of the things that I was super excited about was scaling vision algorithms. And so in 2013, we ended up building a system called NEAL. NEAL stands for Neverending Image Learner. So it is a program that runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to download images from the web and learn common sense knowledge about the world. And this got really, really famous. It appeared in all the media articles because this was the first program that was trying to learn common sense on its own from the web, essentially. And that was a very eye-opening experience for me in 2013, because what happened was, while I was trying to, like, all these images were being downloaded, it learned common sense knowledge. Like, for example, cars have wheels, buses have windows, planes have wings, and so on and so forth. But it could not learn common sense that you and I learn a lot in our life. Like, for example, if I put this mic down, it will fall.
Yes.
This kind of common sense knowledge is very, very hard to learn. And that reminded me again to go back to psychology. How do humans learn common sense?
Okay.
And so for the next 2 years, I kind of studied a little bit more in psychology, like what is the underlying concept, like how do humans learn common sense. And it turns out that as babies, a more important thing that we do is interact with the world. As babies, we put things in our mouth, we
Yes.
throw things around, throw noodles on the floor.
Yes.
All this interaction that we are doing with the world is what makes us learn common sense. However, if you are just learning from images and videos, you have no power to do things.
You're bounded to those surrounds.
You're bounded by the constraints of the data that you have. And that excited me to made me move into robotics. That, oh, if I have a robot that can do these kind of throw things around and so on, maybe that will end up helping me learn common sense knowledge, essentially. And so that was my journey into robotics in 2016. And the first paper that we ended up doing was, because I was all about scaling up and so on. For the first, we basically took a robot. It had lots of things in front of it, right? And the robot would go and randomly grasp things from the table,
Yes.
like randomly, and basically with the sensors it has in his hand, it will know whether it is successful or not in doing this. And for the first time, we were able to scale up data collection on robot from tens of example to 10,000 examples, essentially.
Yeah, I've seen those videos, like the robot is picking different plates and it's sensed, okay, this is the blue plate, it has to be kept last, and then they put the gray
Right.
plates first and then the blue
Yeah.
plates. It's on your skilled page.
Yeah, skill
and
page. Yeah.
everything
And so the birth of all of this is in 2016, when I for the first time started into this and so on. And that got huge attention. In fact, that is kind of the starting point of data-driven learning in robotics, like learning from lots and lots of data. And since then, it has been a journey trying to do more and more data-driven learning. In 2018, I started a robotics lab for Facebook with the same idea of using learning and common sense. And in 2022, I decided that now is the time to actually bring robots in the real world. And that's when we started this company, Scaled AI, which is what I'm talking about today as well in the talk.
Wonderful. And in your concept, if this artificial common sense enabled brain actually happens and it works, what do you think would be the first job that humans would stop doing, not because the robots do it better, but we started trusting robots better?
Yeah. So nowadays we call it physical AI, physical common sense, and so on. And I think that's a great question. Where will be the starting point for robots to be? And so what we as a company are looking into are areas where humans do not want to work today. These could be either jobs that have very high attrition rate, like people don't like to do that job, or they are like, for example, cleaning and so on. Like some of these
Yes.
people, no one wants to do that job. Or jobs which have danger associated with them. For example, being in an oil field or
Yes.
being in a machine room where
Yes.
there's high temperature and high humidity. Every minute you're in a machine room, your life expectancy is going down essentially. These are the places where we feel that robots will come first, automate some of the inspection and facility management of those areas first. And then, of course, slowly and slowly, we believe robots will just make whole human civilization very, very efficient in all the aspects, from warehouses to data centers to every field you can think of.
Wonderful. And speaking of the artificial brain, right? There are hallucination when in terms we talk about the LLMs, right? Is there a similar term in concept of robotics? Does the robots also hallucinate while doing some stuff with their AI brains?
So that's a great question. I think this is something which a lot of people ask me, like, because they are worried about the hallucination. If robot is
Absolutely.
hallucinating, what will happen, right? Now, interestingly, robotics is very different from language. So you have to understand how LLMs are learned. LLMs are learned with all the language data on the web.
Yes.
So all this data kind of represents what humanity has said somewhere or in some way. So what we call it is a good example data. Now, in the case of robotics, it's not just one form of data that you're getting, not just language or vision, what you're seeing, but you also have the ability to do actions and see the effect of those actions. There's time. And when you have like multimodality, which is using vision, touch, time, and action, and combine that with the ability to do actions, the hallucination is almost none.
It's like the senses of humans.
Yeah, because
yeah.
you can have coincidence in one sense, you can have coincidence in two senses, but having a same coincidence in multiple senses is very, very unlikely. So hallucination falls down. But then also, if there's a hallucination, the robot will do some action and immediately see the world is not responding to that hallucination. Within a millisecond, it will adapt. And so our robot brain that we are building, Skilled Brain, is working at a very, very high frequency. and it can make these decisions very, very fast. If it sees that the world is not behaving the way it is supposed to behave, it knows something has gone wrong, and it adapts on the fly with these decisions.
Wonderful. And is there some sort of decision or the research that you did in your earlier times that people didn't believe at the moment that you were researching, but now they start saying, okay, Abhinav, you were right?
Yeah, I think that's again a very, very interesting question. So, in fact, I would say that when we started doing this work on scaling, so this is 2013, the same idea that I was talking about, right? At that time, almost everyone in the world was working with a few examples, like 1 million images and so on. And we were the first people to actually scale it up with 300 million images, with millions of images. Then I actually also went to Google. At that point of time, I would say almost every data point in the world was saying that if you use the data from the web, you cannot learn good models.
Okay.
There was a paper from Facebook at that time from learning from 100 million images, which showed that you are not seeing performance gains with more and more data. In 2017, we published for the first time a paper that showed us that even with more and more images, the performance of these models keep on increasing. And that was kind of eye-opener for everyone. Like, it kind of changed the whole perception about the increasing data set sizes, because before that, no one was seeing these gains. And now, today, like, people are using trillions of examples.
Yes, huge.
Yeah. So that was, I think, I would say, one of the movements where it was very against what everyone else was thinking, and then still we were able to show that the boost keeps on coming with more and more data. Essentially, this was revisiting effectiveness of data in deep learning era. That was kind of the paper that we published. It was, and now it has lots of citations, and a lot of people built on top of it after that.
Absolutely. One more thing, like connecting different industries is always something that happens when one industry booms, right? The moment one technology takes a step forward, there's something bad associated with it. Like the moment we stepped into the AI universe, the energy consumption for the servers and computational power, it's huge, right? The power consumptions are going higher and higher, and that's where the concern for sustainability comes in. So what one connected thing that you feel would also have a bad effect when the AI and robotics would move forward?
I think even in our case, you could talk about energy as one issue, because we are also learning these models and so on. But apart from that, I think there is a cultural shift that is going to happen. When robots are going to come, it's going to be a huge cultural shift.
Yes.
Now, I don't want to call it bad, but it's going to change the whole society. And I think, so for me, it's always about whatever you're calling bad, like, for example, sustainability and so on. It is also a shift in how things are done, because while these data centers might be using a lot of energy, we will end up saving energy in the other parts of the world.
Yes.
Right? Because now AI will be make humans more and more efficient. So, see, the problem is that whenever change happens in the world, humans are very against change. Like, we like to be in the same comfort zone and so on. And so, whenever things change, whatever is changing, you associate something bad with it, and you say, oh, this is why I don't want to do it.
Okay.
So that's what I think is happening with this whole sustainability thing. The same is true with robots also, for example. Like, people will talk about, oh, the jobs will go away, right? Yes. But history tells us completely different stories. History tells us whenever these kind of efficiencies come, more jobs are created than they are lost. Yes. Right? So, for example, when computers came in, everyone was scared that jobs will go away, because now we don't have to do the paperwork and so on. But we all know computers have created so many different jobs. These kind of technologies like AI, robotics, make whole humanity very, very efficient. And once humanity becomes efficient, our forefront of technologies grows much, much faster, and we can do newer and newer things that we cannot even think of today, what is possible.
Absolutely.
So again, I want to say that change is not what should be scared of. Whatever you think might be bad associated with it might not be that bad, because the world will adapt to it essentially in some way.
Definitely. That perspective really opened up the eyes. And talking about your overall experience, let's just wrap it up, and I won't consume much time of yours. Uh, with your whole experience, what do you think is the next shift? And if someone is going to enter the market, what would be the three key elements that they should look after?
Okay. So I do think that the biggest shift that is going to happen is more and more automation. Like today, we are going through like a big infrastructure change in the world.
Yes.
Developing countries are building more and more infrastructure. Even developed countries are building more and more infrastructure, like
Absolutely.
data centers and so on. Now, this scale of infrastructure development that humanity is doing today is not going to happen by just humans themselves.
Yes.
We will need the use of AI and machine learning and robots essentially. So there's a big shift coming, and the shift is more and more of these things are going to get automated. More and more of these things are, and the scale of these things are going to get bigger and bigger. The infrastructure changes is going to get bigger and bigger. This is just a starting point.
Yes.
Now the three things to look out for is how fast this development is happening, because humans have always underestimated also the development of these things, right? I mean, if you think of when I was doing my PhD in computer vision, and someone asked me like what would be the state of the art in 5 years or 10 years, I would have never even come close to guessing that what we are seeing in AI today will be there in 10 years and so on. So I think we have to keep a very, very close attention on how fast this technology is progressing. Then we have to also be very, very vigilant about how it can be useful in my areas, because you can actually make some of the industries really, really efficient and basically completely change the story in this setup. Last but not the least, I am actually again want to bring this culture change. Today, the robots are going to start in factories, warehouses, data centers, and so on. We are also going to start with these robots in airports, shopping malls, and so on. And there's going to be a huge culture change. Like till today, people are not comfortable with robots, and then slowly and slowly, we are going to get comfortable with these robots, and these robots are going to become like a part of our daily living.
Yes.
And this is what we have to be super vigilant about, like how this culture change is happening, and when is the right time to actually bring these kind of machines into our comfort of living as well. I do want to be clear that some of the people recently have been talking about these home robots will be happening in the next 1 year or 2 years.
Yes.
That's not happening for sure.
Yes.
We are still very far away from home robots, like being fully autonomous home robots. But I do feel that in the next 4 or 5 years, this culture change is going to happen. Robots are going to be all around us, and we have to. And this would be like a very exciting time for us in the future.
Well, thank you so much, Abhinav, for giving us this amazing insights by you, and giving us the time. And it's honor to see you.
Thank you so much for
Thank you
having
so
me here.
much.